We are very humbled to have you in our midst. Thank you for being here this morning and for honoring our invitation. We may have our seats. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to warmly welcome you to this World Savings Day press conference. And I would love to welcome our Deputy Governor, who is our chief guest this morning. Want to thank you for coming and for being with us. You're most welcome. I would expect a very warm welcome. Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, our dear chief guest, CEOs of financial institutions and financial sector regulators present, and our key event partners, I would like to say good morning. My name is Lambert, and my job is simple: to just attach a few names to the people present, but also guide you through the proceedings of the day, or of the morning for that matter. And without wasting any much further time, this is World Savings Day, and we are having a press conference whereby we are going to have an expert analysis of our regulators present and what it takes for us to follow that rhythm and understand what savings is all about. We are going to have a number of activities which will be further explained by Ms. Goretti. We are having our annual Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month starting today. We are also going to have and rekindle our Savings Challenge. And also we shall have a recall and emphasis of Green Finance Week. And lastly, we shall also have our World Savings Day run, which we shall communicate later on. But the gist of the matter this morning is understanding or being aware of the Savings Day and as a whole, the word savings. Of course, being aware means that you are given an insight into your beliefs, whether they are positive or holding you back. That's why we keep on making ourselves aware, and therefore we have to continue reechoing the awareness of savings, because like we all know that our savings culture is quite on the low. The reasons as to why it is on the low, maybe we know so many of them. Maybe we don't have what to save, or maybe we have what to save, but we do not know exactly where to put these savings such that they can be able to work for us. Or maybe also we do not know the taxation issues surrounding our savings, if at all there are any. So allow me now to invite the CEO of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, Ms. Goretti, to come and throw us into the jungle such that we can understand exactly why we are here and attach all the protocol to this function the way she knows best and does best. So you're most welcome, Madam Goretti.
Thank you so very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe let me first correct that. First, I'm not going to take you to the bush. I hope I don't. But if I do, we'll get out together. And two that are Mrs. Yeah, Mrs. Goretti Masade. And starting off with the protocols, our chief guest, the Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, Dr. Atingego, all the heads of regulatory bodies here present, starting with the Insurance Regulatory Authority, represented by Portazio Sunday, Uganda Retirements Regulatory, oh, I'm getting it wrong, yeah? UBRA, you always confuse me. Mrs. Rita Nansasi Waswa, representing Mr. Nsubuga. We've got the Uganda Insurance Association, the CEO himself, Mr. Jonan Chisache. We have got the Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. Mrs. Edith Tusubira is not yet here, but I'm sure she's coming. We've got the Deposit Protection Fund, represented by Mr. Balam Sempala, acting CEO. You're very welcome. We've got ABI Finance. Miss Mona Sebuliba, a key partner. Thank you very much for coming. You're very welcome. We've got the board of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services. We've got Mr. Wilbro Dowol, who is also the ED for the Uganda Bankers Association. We have got Mr. Paul Senyomo, the CEO of Mercantile Credit Bank, also on the board. We've got CEOs, a key partner, NCBA Bank. You're very welcome, Anthony. Mark Muyobo, you're very welcome. And everybody here present, especially the media here present, thank you very much for coming. And I would also like to, in a very special way, welcome all the partners that have been working with us. It's interesting that we've got the entire industry in the room, Deputy Governor. And I want to start off by thanking you in a very special way, thanking the Bank of Uganda team, led by the Financial Services Department, Mr. Alex Ochan, Tilda. They've done an amazing job getting us together here throughout the process. I want to inform you that they've been having meetings on end with the precious UIBFS team in the room. We want to thank you for getting us here. We want to also thank you for embracing the things that all the initiatives that are proposed to you. It is always good when you have an industry working together, and we really appreciate you. My role today, being that we are hosting you as UIBFS, on behalf of everybody else that has been meeting, is to introduce to you the Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month. The Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month started in 2020. It started at the top of the COVID-19 challenge. In October, we just felt that we needed to let people know that it is possible. And we started off with a simple campaign, Your Money Can, Be Money Smart. At that time, we were walking to work. We had so little to deal with. And we felt that it was important to energize people. We realized that across the board, or throughout, if you remember, we have been having quite a number of health campaigns. But health is very similar to wealth. It's behavioral. Health is behavioral, and we felt that even this is behavioral. And I would like to note that I think the National Capability Survey was very clear. Behaviors, people we are trying, but the attitudes are a challenge. And one way to change attitudes is through campaigns such as this. And that's why we had the Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month introduced. Last year, we had My Steps, My Wealth. And it was to say, whatever you do, you've got to start with whatever little step that you take. However small a step, if you don't take a step, we are in trouble. So this year we said, what is it that we should do? And I would like Derek to put that on the screen. I'm just going to do a very simple introduction, but our campaign this year is around anyone can. This year we are saying anyone can start small, anyone can grow big, and anyone anyone can be green smart. So where did green come from? Green, as you know, is an issue now. We all need to be climate smart. But who is supposed to be climate smart? And we felt that it's everybody. We are saying we cannot save at the expense of, we cannot invest at the expense of, we cannot make money at the expense of. And so we felt that it's important to actually use nature, the environment we have, to leverage. We can leverage the environment and we can protect the environment while becoming big. We all know that green finance is a very big issue, but we know what it is as people who are supposed to access these services and as professionals that are supposed to provide these services. And so, anyone can start small, grow big, be green smart is the campaign. You will find that visual. You're going to find it a lot of the time. I mean, during the month, you'll come across it. And we are saying young, old, rich, poor, female, male. I think the statistics show us that whether you're rich, whether you're poor, we are all the same as regards finances. We all need to improve. And we are saying you can start small, setting goals, saving, borrowing responsibly, ensuring, planning for retirement, and using digital services. We can all start small and grow big. And it's interesting, we can say that we've made some significant progress. I think the capability survey also said about 76% or thereabout are saving. But then, 57 or something like that are saving. But we've got a very big proportion, like over 70 who are getting only 150,000. And we are also saving mostly for consumption. So the question is, we are saying, however small we are, we can start to also invest. We can start to also borrow. And I like telling people that this is like church. People get saved on different days. And it's good to say, even the pastors themselves have a lot of work to do. So I'll be the first to say that I also have a lot of work to do. But this is something that we are going to be interfacing all through. Then we are saying be green smart. Above all, let's leverage, let's protect nature and the environment for current and future survival and preservation of money. Next slide, please. So that is our program outline. We have got from the 7th to 11th, we'll have the Personal Financial Management and Savings Week. We have the Loans and Investment Week. We have Insurance and Retirement Week. We have Digital Financial Literacy and Careers. And then we'll have Tax and Green Finance in the last week. Next slide, please. The key activities, we're going to have financial literacy through the webinars. This time round, we want to do in-person financial literacy trainings for micro, small SMEs, and students and employees. So if you feel that there is a need, we'll be there personally. Last year, we trained over 30 financial literacy trainers, and I know that the Bank of Uganda has a bank of over 1,000. We would like to utilize them. So we will request you to support us in this endeavor because they need to be facilitated. But we'll put aside some money to start these engagements. We will also have mass media on radio, on print, as well as digital media. Next slide, please. In the Green Finance Week, we would like to have green finance conversations with staff and with clients. We will have a green finance training for interested banks and institutions. I want to assure you that we've already got that capability at the Institute. And we'll have a green exhibition for suppliers and customers. Please come for that exhibition. Then we have a savings challenge. The savings challenge is 1 year this time round. For the savings challenge, we're going to encourage families, friends, to come together, start a conversation on money. It's the right time to start if we say we want to deal with 2023. Think out your goals. Plan on how you're actually going to save for those goals. There are simple activities that we can undertake as families. And then we wish that you tell us your story. There will be a hashtag savings challenge and hashtag anyone can. So hopefully people can tell us these stories. At the end of the year, we would like to award the best stories. So it's going to be continuous. Usually, this campaign is a month, 5 weeks. But we leave such good messages to run for just a month, and it's not enough. So we are saying this time round, we will use whatever media that we can have, especially what we can afford, but we believe with social media we can do quite a bit. But we are believing that as partners in the room, you're going to support us to make sure that this message goes along, and a long way. And we would like to request the financial institutions to be ready. We shall be sending material. We'll be sending posters about the challenge so that wherever people go, they have somebody to talk to. And they are well received, and they are given products and services that will enable them to achieve their goals. And lastly, as an industry, I am hoping that we are believing that, and I'm starting with my chairman, Housing Finance Bank. We'll have a big piggy bank that we rotate in these institutions so that they can also show that we can save. And at the end of the period, we will choose a good initiative to give back to the community from these savings, hopefully green, but they will choose. And lastly, today, we have a run, Naguru Hilltop. We know that it's a Monday, it's a difficult day, but there are people who run in this country anywhere and everywhere. They are called the Kampala Hash Areas. I'm inviting you to join them. Let's join them this evening. Naguru Hilltop will be there to run and celebrate World Savings Day. We shall have somebody from Bank of Uganda to take us through part of the activities that we are going to go through, especially financial literacy and the entire campaign. So with those very few words, I want to thank you for listening to me and hoping that we are going to embrace the Banking and Financial Services Awareness Month. Thank you so much. So today is a press briefing. So without wasting any time, I would like to first of all recognize your presence. Madam Edith, thank you for coming. And another board member that I didn't recognize, Ms. Susan Mogoe, thank you very much for coming. So let me invite you to come over here, starting with the chief guest. Please join us up here in the middle seat. Oh, my apologies. Please have a seat. I'm supposed to hand you over to the staff of the Institute. They have something small to tell you. You're welcome.
Bro, how are you?
I'm good, how are you, sir?
Long time.
Long time, sir.
Yes, please. So what's happening, Mam Namuli?
How do you know Tom?
I know Tom from university. He's a colleague from university. And how do you guys know each other?
Me, he was my tenant. And it's a long time.
Okay.
Haven't seen him.
Yes, so, okay.
Yeah, that's how we got to know each other.
Okay. Oh, during those days of university, you are staying together.
Yes.
Okay, that is great. So, Mam Namuli.
But I was disheartened. I found Tom with a Kavera.
Exactly. What are you doing with Veras,
And we
bro?
were
I'm from
going
shopping.
great.
You are from shopping?
Yes.
Come on. We have dropped Caveras long time.
Yes.
Look here. It's been a while since I stopped using Caveras.
Okay.
Each time I go shopping,
Yes.
I carry my chikapu. And a good thing with the chikapu,
Yes.
it helps you to save.
I
No,
understand.
look at the young lady like you.
Yeah.
She has
You
a,
see?
a chikapu.
The chikapu is not for old people only.
We are going great.
We are going green.
Oh,
Big green smart. Chikapu is not for young people, for old people only, even young people.
Yes.
I understand.
You can see young girls are slaying with the chikapu.
Yes.
Yes. Let me help you. I've got two.
Yes.
You have to drop this now.
Thank you
I'm
very
giving you a
much.
chikapu.
Thank you.
Sula Kavera, kwate chikapu.
Oh, I can even.
No, don't throw. I have a group. Chinonya Women's Group.
Exactly.
They make clothes, they make shoes, They make so many things out of Kavera to save the environment.
Okay, let's put it. These ones here, and I give you this camera here.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
okay.
you can conserve each and everything.
We'll take it for recycling.
No, let me just dump it.
No, you don't have to.
No,
Oh,
She
no.
has the Chinonya Women's Group.
Hey.
They're going to help us with the recycling of this Kavera.
Okay.
Thank you very
Our
much.
slogan
Thank you
is
very much.
go green, kwate
Kwate
chikapu,
chikapu,
Kwate
saving
chikapu,
ah.
save
Go
money.
green,
kwate
kwate chikapu,
chikapu,
saving ah.
Go
Go
green,
green,
Kwate chikapu, saving.
ah.
Thank you so much, that is what we are about to miss. Thank you so much. And that's the staff of the Institute of Banking. I will tell you that they are saying, how do we dramatize this? And an idea came up that we should get a comedian. So when we asked the comedian, it was 5 million shillings. And we said, but it is World Savings Day. Why don't we? In fact, it was their idea. But it's World Savings Day. Why don't we do this? You've clearly seen. There are ways of doing it. Okay, so now I'd like to invite you to please come through, our guest of honor. And then I'll invite UBA, please join us. Umra, please join us up here. UIA, please join us. ERA, please join us. ABI Finance, please join us. And the Deposit Protection Fund. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for accepting to join this panel. And I'll request that when I request you to speak, you please introduce yourself again and then tell us a little bit more about what you are doing at your organization, as well as what you have to say about this theme. What successes have we made to date? What challenges do we have at the moment? And how do we think we can move forward, particularly regarding this theme? Please feel free to tell us whatever else that you'd like to tell us. I must say that we will have a keynote address from the Deputy Governor, and so he will make all his talking at that point. All right, so I want to welcome, starting from my left, Jonan. Yours is an association of insurers. What do you have to tell us regarding saving and regarding what you're doing at the moment?
Okay. Thank you very much, Goretti. First of all, I would want to congratulate you and also commend you, together with the Bank of Uganda, for taking this initiative around World Savings Day. Saving and savings are such an important component if we are to propel growth of any economy and a population. If we are to get out of the bondage of poverty, it is a key area for us to encourage savings. As introduced, my name is Jonan Chisache. I work with the Uganda Insurers Association. I'm currently the chief executive. The Uganda Insurers Association is just simply a member body that brings together all licensed insurers, reinsurers, and micro-insurers. And these are licensed by my neighbor, who is the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. Now, as the UIA and as a member body, we're just simply a lobbying organization, a trade association, and our target really is to ensure that the interests of our members are protected, but above all, that the industry or the public understand the purpose and the benefit of insurance. Now, if you look within the component of insurance, savings is key, or it sits right at the heart of insurance, especially when you look on the side of long-term insurance, which is life insurance. Now, I think my sister from UBRA defined savings or saving very, very well. And I will tell you that the insurance fraternity plays a key role in sort of ensuring that we inculcate this culture of saving. I will tell you that one of the things that we do through the different products that we offer, not only will the individual be able to save, but also we take care of a risk component in the event of death. So you will be able to save as an individual through an insurance product, but above all, should your purpose or the purpose for which you're investing be met or be cut short by death, your family then has a fallback position in the event that you've been paying your premiums. There will be a cash out or a benefit that we will pay. But also, as the insurance fraternity and through our products, we try as much as possible to inculcate the culture of saving, because once you take up a product, most of the products on the life side will require an annual, a monthly premium. Now, once you get into the mode of paying your premiums on a monthly basis, again, in a way, you pick up the culture of saving. Remember, again, you're putting aside a small amount, but again, at the end of the day, with the regular payments and the regular premiums paid, again, we are developing and growing the culture of saving. And as I conclude, of course, saving, again, like I think Goretti mentioned, there is an aim for saving. One of the most important things is that you save to invest. Now, insurance, again, is very, very unique in terms of how we can be able to encourage savings and also investment. That if you've accumulated your savings and you choose to invest, again, you could invest, for example, in an asset, or you can invest in a business. Again, insurance is there to ensure that we protect that asset and we protect that business. So you will find that insurance will be able to help you accumulate the funds that you do require. Insurance will also be there when you accumulate these funds and invest them in an asset by ensuring that we protect that asset against any unforeseen events. So insurance takes you through the whole cycle and the whole process of investing. Again, if you critically look at our sector, we have the pension side as well. Now, not only will we protect your asset, not only will we encourage you to save, but also in the event that you would want to save for retirement, again, the insurance companies have got products that will help you take up a personal retirement plan. And again, through saving and through putting aside small amounts of money, you can be able to save for retirement. So really, in a nutshell, insurance is part of the cycle of saving, and we are more than glad to be part of this initiative by the Bank of Uganda and the Institute. And again, we congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jonan. And I think you forgot to say that all the banks do have those insurance products. So there's something called bank assurance. So we hope that you can go to your banks and access whatever insurance product that you desire to, okay? I want to welcome the representative for UBRA. Please come and take my seat. Yes, come and take my seat, then we shall moderate from down here. So I think let's also go now to the Insurance Regulatory Authority. So we have the insurance conversation and complete it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And I will also add my voice to congratulate the Institute, together with the Bank of Uganda and the banking fraternity, upon bringing us together on this table to discuss a very important subject. I call it very important because it is only when we deal with savings very well that we can comfortably move to what we aspire, the middle income status. I will start by saying that, again picking from where Jonan has stopped, that savings is a means to an end, not an end in itself. Why do I say this? And I was having a small conversation with Jonan. In my economics class, we used to define savings as equal to income minus consumption. And I was saying, at what point should we save? Is it after consumption or before? We did not agree. But I almost thought that that definition could be reviewed, because if you wait to save after you have consumed, chances are high that you may not save, because the expenses may blow the income, which again sends us to the submission which has been made that saving is a culture, and insurance provides that opportunity to save before consumption. What happens is that once you have committed to a life insurance policy, and I want to inform the press and the public that life insurance is affordable, because some policies go to as low as 50,000 shillings per month on the market, which on a daily would be less than 2,000 shillings, which I imagine that majority of the Ugandans can afford. So this money is taken off before you consume, and what remains is actually what you put to consumption. Now, as the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, our mandate is to ensure that when you save this money with an insurance company, your money is safe, because our number one mandate is policyholder protection. Through my work, I always answer very many questions, but one of the questions which stands out is, you are asking us to buy these policies. What happens when the insurance company goes under? There is fear of the unknown. And my answer is that that's why we have the regulator in place. One is that in over a decade now, we've not had any insurance company go under, so the sector is solid. Number two, we have even changed our regulatory regime to ensure that the sector is even much more solid by adopting what we call a risk-based supervisory approach. So this approach helps us to keep monitoring the companies on a daily, so that if there is any challenge, this challenge can be resolved before it can hurt the policy holders. But also, these companies have what we call security deposits. These are monies that are not touched. We have a lien over the security deposits, so that if in an unlikely event that there is a challenge with an insurance company, there is a fallback position. But we are also in discussions, and actually very advanced discussions, to establish a policyholder compensation fund, an equivalent of the deposit protection fund in the banking world, so that we have different layers of protection to guarantee safety of the funds that people save with insurance companies. Now, we have noticed a very important trend, and if you are not yet on board, probably you need to decide now. The life insurance, where savings is concentrated, is actually emerging to lead the sector, growing at over 30% compared to the non-life, which many of us know, the insurance for vehicles, for houses and the like, which is actually now growing at less than 20%. We've seen a lot of young people take on life insurance, and the sector has become innovative because they have arrangements where you can save for education of your children. Again, I said saving is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. You have a future that you want your children to see. You want them to go to the best university, do very nice courses, but as we note that the expenses are growing, the costs are rising every now and then. how do you know that at that point you'll be able to afford the fees? Start saving now so that by the time your child reaches senior 4, you have finished paying fees. I have a dream of retiring before 60 years. But if I have children, I may not realize that dream. Insurance makes it possible because by putting money aside now, then I can comfortably retire at 50. Because after all, the children's fees and the related expenses will be taken care of. So I want to encourage you to start putting aside money. It is painful, but as time goes by, it becomes a culture. I joined the insurance industry around 2013. I have a policy which is maturing next month. And how did I do this? I said, I now have a house where I don't pay rent, but also aware of our family obligations. I knew I cannot save this rent, which I'm not now paying. And I chose to be my own landlord. And how did I do that? I said, the money I've been using to pay rent, I buy an insurance policy. So I have been paying rent again for the years I have lived in the same house. But 2, for us who work in government and I think private sector, there is an annual increment. The question is, how do you deal with that annual increment? If you have been living a comfortable life at the current pay, what is it that you are going to change when your salary has gone up? Why not commit this surplus to an insurance policy so that 10 years after, you are able to build a house without necessarily going to the bank to borrow? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Protasio. Very interesting discussion and conversation. I'm sure Wilbrod will have something to say about that. Yes, definitely. I think what he's telling us, everyone can, and anyone can. You've talked about some simple savings. You've talked about saving before you actually spend. I think that's a very good approach and avenue to support all of us in our endeavors or savings endeavors. I now would like to invite Mr. Balam. Mr. Balam, you can probably tell us now more about the Deposit Protection Fund.
Thank you. Good morning, members. My name is Balam Sempala. I'm acting. I'm just sitting in for my CEO, who is not here. I'm acting, and I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this very important event. The Deposit Protection Fund is an agency that was instituted to ensure that depositors of contributing institutions paid their money in the event that a contributing institution is closed for liquidation. So we do ensure that the financial sector, we contribute to the stability of the financial sector by ensuring that the public has confidence in the system. As the DPF, we are mandated to pay depositors up to 10 million Uganda shillings. We are on now a big campaign countrywide to inform the public that their money will be safe if they put it in the banks, and we also inform them that they should save as much as they can. We have done this on the radios, on the TV stations, and we have also done in different events that we have done in the country. So we have ensured that the public is aware that the financial system is stable, and their money, if they put it in the banking system, banking sector, their money will be secure, And just in case an institution is closed by Bank of Uganda, they should be also, they should receive their money up to the protected or the insured deposit of 10 million Uganda shillings. So the campaign is still on. A number of our staff, they move out to different regions in the country to sensitize the masses. Given this day of World Savings, the word savings actually is very, very key in our message as we go out there. And we always encourage the depositors to also update their accounts so that in the event that we have to pay them, the accounts must be updated with their national ID number and their mobile numbers. This is because the Deposit Protection Fund has an IT system that we intend to use to pay out depositors within the 90 days period that we are given to make sure that depositors are paid as fast as we can. So we are again, we encourage depositors to put their money, not to keep it in their houses, but to put their money in the banks. We as Deposit Protection Fund, we also have quite a number of things that we are doing. We have ensured that the depositors also do a lot of, they should be able to keep their money as savings, but also invest it. So when they invest it, they should be able to get quite something that they should put in their businesses. So that's what we have as Deposit Protection Fund. We wish you good. We wish the depositors and the financial sector players and the stakeholders a memorable commemoration of the World Savings Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sempala. I was listening recently to a presentation on people with disabilities, and you actually find that quite a number of them, especially the blind, have failed to go to these financial institutions, and they actually get a lot of their, you find so many stories of money being burnt in their households. So I think that is an area that we need to start thinking about, of course, even as the banking sector, and I am sure that Wilbrod will also ably speak to that area. Now I would like to invite Mrs. Rita Namisango. Please tell us about the Retirement Benefits Authority. And in regard with this very theme, start small, grow big.
Thank you. My name is Rita Nasa Siwaswa. I work as the Director of Legal Services at UBRA, and I'm representing the CEO of UBRA. UBRA stands for the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. This is a government institution that was set up to license the establishment, management, and operation of retirement benefits schemes in Uganda, both in the private and the formal sector. Please allow me to read the remarks of my boss as presented. Thank you. As we mark the World Savings Day, the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority reiterates the message that with the right environment and a good savings culture, retirement savings can contribute significantly to national development. The right environment is characterized by clear regulations, policies, and guidelines, while the right savings culture is characterized by every citizen's commitment to long-term savings. Thus, at UBRA, we encourage Ugandans to capitalize on the stable environment and a well-regulated sector to save for their retirement by starting small. Start small and your savings will grow so as to avoid old age poverty. Today's theme, Start Small, Grow Big, resonates well with UBRA's message that citizens can save for their retirement with the little they have. Any citizen can now save with a licensed retirement benefit scheme, starting with as little as 2,000 Uganda shillings. Under UBRA's strict regulatory environment and supervisory framework, savings are prudently invested and supervised. Citizens have the confidence now to save with their licensed retirement benefit schemes. And apart from all the benefits at individual levels, savings have also contributed greatly to the growth of our nation, because Ugandans that have continuously saved with the retirement benefits have seen the sector grow from as low as 4 trillion shillings in 2011 to over 20 trillion in June 2022. Over the past 10 years, the retirement benefit sector has greatly contributed to the country's GDP that has grown to over 11.1% as of December 2021. Additionally, the sector investment portfolio has consistently grown to over 76% of retirement benefits assets that are invested in government securities. While formal employment has a structured plan for retirement savings, it covers a very small percentage of the working population. And out of an estimated working population of 15.9 million Ugandans, only about 18% are covered under the existing retirement benefit schemes. Thus, the majority of Ugandans, majority of whom are in the informal sector, are not covered in any licensed retirement benefit scheme. That is why, as UBRA, we urge every Ugandan, including those in the informal sector, to contribute and start saving for their retirement. Today's theme reminds us that you don't have to earn a lot to save for your retirement, because we all know at one point we shall all retire. That is why we have to start now. We have to start now, start small, start saving, and then you grow your savings as you continue. I therefore reiterate the message of today's theme, that start small, grow big, and while at it, be green smart, and take care of the environment in which you thrive. That's how you'll be able to enjoy a happy retirement. UBRA remains committed to protecting your retirement benefits. Thank you so much, and wish you a happy World Savings Day.
Thank you very, very much for those remarks. First, it was exciting to hear the numbers, and then the percentages came through. And I think that's where Mrs. Tusubira, Edith, comes in with the microfinance. And after you speak, I'll request Mr. Wilbrod Wall, because we have challenges. So we have challenges. You see, we still have quite a number of us who are not yet covered, for instance, in retirement. We have quite a number of us who are saving for consumption, and most of them are down there in the rural community, where I think microfinance plays. And then the bigger sector, the banking sector, will now tell us a little bit more about what we are doing to ensure that everybody is covered. So over to you, Edith.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Edith Tusubira, Executive Director, Uganda Microfinance Regulator Authority. I'm quite excited to be here for the World Savings Day because it's very, very pertinent and an area of interest for us in the microfinance sector. We have been at it to save, because Uganda Microfinance Regulator Authority does regulate 4 sectors, 4 subsectors. That is SACCOs. We regulate non-deposit microfinance institutions. We do regulate self-help groups, and we also regulate all money lenders in the country. All what we are trying to do is to ensure that we groom a saving culture in this country. And so our mandate is drawn from the Tier 4 Microfinance Institutions and Money Lenders Act 2016, which provides functions of the authority, which include and are not limited to licensing, regulating, and supervising the Tier 4 institutions, as I've already mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, for update, the authority today has licensed 1,430 institutions, and these can be comprised of the following, broken down into 1,157 money lenders, 65 SACCOs, and 208 non-deposit microfinance institutions. Mark you, the deposit microfinance institutions are regulated by the central bank. So that is why we concentrate on the non-deposit taking. While we call them non-deposit taking, we have always realized that Ugandans also want to force themselves to keep money or to deposit money with them. As such, government has a program under the Tier 4 microfinance institutions, under the Tier 4 sector, to also mobilize savings or protect our savings. As you've heard from our brother talking about deposit protection fund, we also are organizing what they call the Savings Protection Fund, and that one will help us to protect the savings that are out there. Recently, just for update, we released the self-help guidelines, operating guidelines that we released last month, and they are to start January 2023. And the aim is, much as you hear, we have a lot of banks in Uganda, the coverage is not, it is still lacking. So you find that out there, for example, in Karamoja, deep down there in Kanungu, people rely not necessarily on the banking system. They actually rely on putting some of their money in if you might want to call it boxes, small boxes. I saw them myself in Karamoja, and it made us think so seriously about how do we protect these people. And the only way we can protect these people is for us to now come up with the operational guidelines, and these are already in place. We came up with the minister launched them last month, and the aim is to ensure that the savings, which are even though put in the small boxes, they have to be reported at the district, and from where we shall get to know how much these savings have been. You realize that under the microfinance system is where money has been kept, and it's quite informal. It is difficult to understand how much is out there for Ugandans. So we have also moved very quickly as Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority to put together a system which we have started to use right now. All our licensees are going to be monitored on a system, not monitoring for bad intentions, but we need to know how much money do we have out there in this system of Tier 4 sector. Because today you can very easily come up to, because when you walk to Bank of Uganda, you can know how much money have Ugandans or not even foreigners put in the banking structure. But we don't know very well how much money is out there Ugandans have. And you know very well that our rural folks fear banks. They have not really seriously invested in the banks. Instead, while we gather that information, it will help the whole system to be able to know how can we now stimulate our market. How will it happen then? So we decided to go digital, and I know that it's part of the theme that has been put together here. We want to know in our culture of saving, what are the efforts of even those small people? They make up over 80% of our population, and that is the statistics, you know. I am not simply saying it. 80% of Ugandans, they are out there, they are not bringing their money into the system. We have to know so that we be able to manage the process. So Uganda, today, we as Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority want to join the efforts being put together to celebrate the World Savings Day. And so because of that, we want to say we are contributing, and the way we are contributing is to ensure that we put structures even at the bottom of the pyramid, so that you can be able to get the information. Because Uganda is not comprised of people only who are banking up here. There are people who have very serious monies, but it is not it is hard to understand what they are doing with it. But if we understand and we know how much it is that is out there, the benefits will increase. Because if we have increased savings, as you've already heard, there will be increased investment, there will be increased incomes. We shall also manage our interest. We Ugandans are borrowing at such high interest rates. And the reason why we are borrowing at such high interest rates is because we've decided to manage our resources not in a pool. So if you put your savings under the central bank, we put the savings under UMRA system of regulatory environment, then we shall be able to know how much it is that we have, and so that if in case there is anyone who wants to invest, then they can find it easy to look for those resources and therefore invest. What do we recommend as Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority? Looking at where we are coming from as a country, in the microfinance sector, where we are today, we think that we've moved such a big step. Today we can very easily explain and define our microfinance system, and if we continue that path, we shall continue drawing attention not only of ourselves but also of those who want to come and work with us to improve the sector. And this sector, we are these days you've heard seriously about what we are saying, PDM, we are saying Emyoga circles. Historically, government used to mobilize or have initiatives, and we never took the trouble to have a regulator. Today, government has a regulator in place, and the regulator is none other than the one who is speaking before you. So we want to ensure that we will know what is happening in the PDM. I know you've been following on social media, seeing people even being nabbed for trying to tamper with the PDM resources. For us, we are watching from the side. After the time is over, when the self-help groups have put together those resources, we shall come and ask them to get licensed. After which we shall now follow. What did you do with the resources? So it is very serious matter. Government is involved. We are trying to ensure that there is a growing savings culture, and so we join today to simply say we want to strengthen that path for this nation, for the benefit of our country, and I know there will be a lot of inroads on that. In conclusion, I want to say it is important that we stress the importance of these savings for everyone for the future. Thank you so much for organizing. We shall go green as well.
Thank you very much for speaking passionately about that sector, the 80% that we are talking about. We all know that they contribute significantly, but especially because they make the lives of our people better. If I now come to Mr. Wilbrod Owo, when I see the theme, start small, grow big, big, green, smart, there is a grow big there, where I believe the banking sector is enabling us to do. It will be very difficult for our country to achieve the development goals that we'd like to get to without the banking sector. You connect us to the world. You have so many services going on in there that would get in a central place. You've gone agency banking, you've gone internet banking, you've gone microfinance banking. I would like to invite you to tell us specifically along this, and I know you have so many instruments in place in the different systems, the UDB, the development banking, the commercial banking, the tier 2, tier 3. Please inform us.
So thank you very much, Goretti. I first of all want to re-echo what the other speakers have said, is to join you, congratulate you as a sector. I mean, I feel a bit funny because we are almost the same. We are one and the same. To congratulate you, but I salute you for championing this. And I associate the entire industry with all the remarks that have been said by all the other speakers. There's no contradiction whatsoever. we are fully in agreement, if anything, for one objective of mobilizing savings. They could be in different schemes, insurance schemes, all those falling under the SACCOs, under UMFRA, but all of them effectively mobilize savings and deposits. And most importantly, they find their way to the bank by way of deposits. So we are not in contradiction at all. I think speaking to savings and its importance, we have a lot of areas to draw experience from, but also to take into account what are the trends happening currently. Just coming from COVID or Ebola risks now, the various pandemics have shown us how important it is to save and have something for those rainy days. Imagine when you are locked down and you cannot travel. But also today there are international triggers. There are global wars that are affecting the whole world. Those are realities we are living with. Today there is increasing use of non-paper money, digital wallets, and many other social challenges that are coming into the financial sector. Like Tusubira said, the country remains with a huge informal sector, and reaching that part of the population, mobilizing those savings, and they can be huge. We just never knew this until many years back. MTN, for example, came into with affordable phones, and look how much transactions are going on, and today's savings mobilized. Therefore, I think for us as an industry, what keeps us awake, what the challenge before us is mobilizing all those savings in its various forms and in partnership with the insurers, with the various agencies that reach people, and with numerous partners, especially in the fintech space, to reach people we previously never used to reach at all, both with technology and products and services, so that we mobilize many, many more people. Today we have about 20.5 million accounts in the system, thanks to the partnerships and technology. However, like Balam could have let you know, the balances on those accounts by end of every month remains low. Of course, that means it has been used for consumption, and the savings are not coming out as much. And therefore, it's important that beyond just saving, people are involved in economic activity that multiplies money and grows those balances as we go along. I will not fail to speak about things that can destabilize savings, and I know the Deputy Governor will touch on this. But these things that we are doing come with risks. Today more than ever, there are cyber risks, there are fraud risks, especially as we use more and more technology. And there are people who are 24/7 trying to find ways and means of beating the system. And savings are put to risk when confidence is undermined from fraudulent practices. We partner with the telecoms and various other people and fintechs. And when any such system is compromised, it erodes the much important confidence that we need. And therefore, I will also use this opportunity that all our various savers in their various forms, whether you save on your wallet, on your phone, on a bank account, even if you save with a cow, a goat, a piece of land, I think the same level of security matters, so that we keep the integrity of the system. And of course, you've added in the element of green financing, more critical today than ever, because the environment that we live in, we have to sustain it. You just need to see countries that, or certain parts of the country, or countries that have had challenges by way of climate challenges and environmental challenges. In some of the other countries, like I think in a city called Kabul, I'm sure you see it on TV, people have money, they go to the bank, but they cannot withdraw it. I believe you have been seeing that on news, where somebody comes with a grenade in the banking hall and said, I want my money. You people, I gave you my money. Okay? Thanks to our regulator and the various stability frameworks put in place by government, we are not at that level. But I just want to re-emphasize the aspect of security and working together, that we don't compromise systems, or at least safeguard them. And it starts with the customer as much as possible. Finally, savings obviously facilitate investment. The more we save, and like I said, we are not in contradiction, the more we save, the more funding is available. It impacts on the cost of lending and makes it more available for investment. So I think once again, the industry fully associates itself with this exercise, and we will be active across all the member institutions across the month, because this is the main business that we do, not just custody of these funds, but ensuring that they are available for lending as well. So thank you once again.
For that, Mr. Wall, and thank you for letting us know that we are all working together for the same purpose. We need to mobilize those resources to grow bigger and in a big way. I would like now to invite Mona. Yours is an organization that's here to make sure that our mainstay, which is agriculture, continues to flourish and get us to our desired goal, or to our dream, because we know that's where we play best. You have been involved in a number of things to make sure that we develop that area. Today we are talking about World Savings Day, and we are saying start small, grow big, big green smart. Give us some insights from where you're seated. What do you see? Why should we be embracing green finance?
Thank you very much. All protocol observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mona Muguma Sebliba, and I'm the Chief Executive at ABI Finance. And as I've been introduced, we are a 12-year-old institution that is focused on agribusiness development, initially set up by the governments of Denmark, Uganda, and lately we're receiving support from the European Union and the Investment Fund for Developing Countries. We have two arms of the business: ABI Development, that works directly with value chain actors, all the way from production, transporting, processors, and export. But speaking here today, and quite relevant to today's topic, is ABI Finance, and our focus is extending and ensuring that access to finance for agribusiness actors, smallholder farmers, and agribusiness entities, SMEs, is that much more efficient. So World Savings Day becomes very relevant, and savings becomes very relevant because of the aspect of financial inclusion. We work with all tiers of financial institutions, right from the tier ones down to the SACCOs, and it all starts with deposit mobilization, savings being one of them. And especially in the rural areas where our smallholder farmers and our small and medium agribusinesses play, we see an initiative by the actors being self-determining by setting up these entities, from village and saving loan associations, which graduate and become savings and credit cooperatives, and move on to credit institutions, deposit taking, and it keeps going up. And for us, our focus right now is, while financial inclusion is important, but channeling it and focusing it also towards agribusiness financing, we necessarily must be green. We necessarily must be green, and sustainable has three strands for us. There's the environmental focus, and particularly linking it to agriculture. Climate change becomes a big issue. So we want to work with financial institutions, as I mentioned, across the entire tier, to ensure that we understand the impact of climate change on the smallholder farmers and the agribusinesses, and help them adapt. So climate change adaptation is a big thing. The floods, we might not have control over them. The drought, we might not have control of them, but what do we do given as things stand? So we need to work as financial institutions and providers of this capital for agribusiness lending to ensure that the loan products speak to the various adaptation techniques, mitigation techniques that are available. But it doesn't stop at just climate change and adapting to climate change and mitigating against climate change or conserving the environment. There are other critical elements that make us green smart, or which we want to ensure that we look at as we become green smart. There's social inclusion. Agribusiness or agriculture is the mainstay for about 70% of the population, done in the countrysides, done in communities. And at ABI, we promote a model which we call farming as a family business. And that ensures that men, women, youth are brought together on the same table and are making decisions drawing on their various strengths. As you're aware, and I'm speaking especially, and I see this room is dominated by men. Men like to be in charge of taking charge of things and negotiating and marketing. So you find within a homestead, within a community, men will be the drivers of the negotiating, the marketing, looking for where to sell the produce. Meanwhile, women tend to be the drivers of systems and ensuring that the agribusiness does get done, the farming is done. And then the youth tend to come in to drive innovation. They're the drivers of agro-processing, of value addition. They are now impatient with the older generation that has done things the same way for the longest time. So you ignore women, you ignore youth, you ignore men, you ignore the various silos within the community at your own risk or at your peril. So our idea is ensure that we have the bankers, the lenders, the SACCOs, the credit institutions, the microfinance institutions, the tier ones, all looking at these aspects when it comes to developing loan products, when it comes to developing savings products. How are we adapting to social inclusion and thereby being more sustainable? Then there's the matter of good governance, corporate governance. And I was speaking with Mr. Muyobo earlier this morning, and we were talking about sometimes lending to especially the SME segment is a bit of a landmine, and it is plagued by the absence of or poor governance. And governance is very simple. We need to break it down and demystify it to simple things as, do you have the right records? If I'm coming to lend to you, I need to find just basic records in place. We're not asking for very sophisticated records. We just want to know your sales, your revenue, your costs, your profit or losses, how you record these sales and losses, these sales and revenue, and generally, are you a compliant and a generally upstanding corporate citizen, as well as a smallholder farmer, some basic record, some basic systems in place. And then it gets more sophisticated as the borrowers and as the sector gets bigger. Obviously, in certain institutions we'll want to see, or in certain entities we'll want to see the presence of boards, the presence of internal auditors, who are your accountants, audited financials, but it gets less complicated as we go down. So for us, sustainability or green means being environmentally alert, ensuring that we're leaving or using the resources in a way that will allow for the next generation to thrive even after we're gone, socially inclusive, leave no man, woman, youth behind, ensure that we are working together as a family, as a community, as a country, and the whole governance model. So what are we doing about that? And that's where we are partnering with literally everybody at this table. Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, Uganda Bankers Associations, my regulator, UMRA, as well as the central bank, coming together to develop a taxonomy, what we're calling a taxonomy that defines what is green. What is green, and how do we all understand it? Do we have the same language? It's important that right from the regulators to the practitioners to the drivers and deliverers of this agribusiness financing and other forms of financing, we understand and can define those elements of ESG, for instance, in the same way. So we are in the month of November and into early December. We're going to be partnering with many of you and asking you to be a part of our stakeholder engagements, a part of our validation engagements, where we come up with definitions, where we come up with examples of the products, savings products, loans products, and say, do we agree with this definition? Do we agree that if we develop these kind of products, we will be indeed promoting starting small, growing big, and going green? And it is imperative that the products that we deliver out of the savings that we have mobilized truly meet the needs of the end users of these products, because at the back of their minds they know that we're working with their money. So if we make if we are reaching more of them through the social inclusion, if we're helping them adapt to the issues that are plaguing them and making them be more corporate upstanding, we will see that start small, move from go big, bigger, biggest, so it needs to make sense to them, and they are able to determine that indeed it is making sense. And with that, as I mentioned, through November into December, we're going to have various engagements where we will launch especially a Green Challenge Fund or green opportunities, where we will provide green lines of credit, green agribusiness guarantees, and the technical assistance that is required to develop the right products, to provide the financial and green literacy that is required, not just to the end users, but also us, the practitioners, to ensure that we're moving together in a green and smart way. Thank you.
Because definition is very important. We all know green. We know the color green. We know what's good. We know the air we want to breathe. We know that we want to look at green plants, but I think we need a little bit more description. As we are going through this, we are looking at examples apart from using Chikapu with a team. We also said how many of us drive 2 cars from one family to work. And we said maybe for this month we can drive one car and save the other money, the fuel for the other car. So there was we were looking through and saying this green thing. So we thank you for the fact that you're going to go through that initiative to really define that for us even better. But we can't wait. We can't wait for the definition before we can be green smart, because the time is now. At this, I am not going to go through asking questions again for the interest of time. I am now going to request our chief guest to give us his keynote, and then we shall ask the media to ask questions, because that's why we are here. You will be able to dig more from the presenters. Deputy Governor, please. If you feel okay.
Thank you very much. And this protocol business, I really don't like it, but they have told me to say heads of financial regulatory institutions, the CEO of the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, Executive Secretary, Uganda Bankers Association, CEOs of financial services providers, development partners, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. Before I go to my written remarks, I just want to thank the staff of Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services for that drama play that they presented. That was very, very informative. Very, very informative. So, you call it Quarter Chikapo, Sula Kavera, and Saving. Something of that sort. It's very, very important. So I think it links exactly to what we're talking about, and I will mention it in my remarks. So, today is the annual World Savings Day, and is commemorated on 31st of October, like we're doing today. On this day, savers are encouraged to transfer their nest eggs from the pots at home to the formal financial institutions, including fintechs. Today, the Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, the Uganda Bankers Association, financial sector regulatory institutions, financial service providers, development partners, and other stakeholders are jointly here, and they've invited all savers to entrust their money with the regulatory financial institutions. Savings are very precious because they are hard-earned. Savings are valuable because They are a lifetime on a rainy day. Savings, when accumulated, are a power and must be guarded jealously by all those who are taking savings-taking institutions. So they have to be guarded from all kinds of risks. I will get back to that later. So the question I have is, would you rather save in a clay pot that cracks easily or in a secure vault in a bank? Can your money grow in a mattress or in a saving financial institution that pays interest on savings? Does putting money in a hole in the ground or a box in a roof offer protection from rodents, fire, and the flooding, or in a bank account that Deposit Protection Fund ensures? So, sacrificing and delaying gratification by saving your hard-earned money, but then keeping it in a house, in a pot, in a mattress, or in a hole in the ground is like taking one step forward and two steps behind. It is a futile endeavor that is full of risks. So, to promote a culture of savings in a formal financial institutions, the first International Savings Bank Congress established the World Savings Day on 31st of October 1924, and Uganda joining this annual commemoration in 2016. For this year, we mark the World Savings Day under the theme, Start Small, Grow Big, Big Green Smart, to inspire the accumulation of savings while preserving the environment. Saving money for future goals and protecting the environment are complementary aspects of sustainability. And just as the time to save money is when one has some, however small the amount, every little step to reduce the carbon emission matters, however global the climate risk. Timely and sustainable savings is a small start. The financial sector is developing a vibrant green finance ecosystem by harnessing technology and innovation to build markets and solutions for transitioning to a low carbon future. We also aim to empower people with effective knowledge and capabilities to save money and access other financial services while minimizing their carbon footprint. For example, savers can access financial services such as savings, investment, payments, insurance, loans through the mobile phone platform without traveling long distances to physical brick and mortar branches of financial institutions, using carbon emitted vehicles, borders, you name them. So, Mona, you talk something which is at the heart of the central bank. The strategic plan of Bank of Uganda for the years 2022 to 2027 is institutionalizing environmental, social sustainability, and governance standards. And why are we emphasizing that? The savings that have been hard mobilized need to be used in an effective manner, in a manner that protects the environment, that ensures social sustainability, that ensures that the governance standards do not only create value for the stakeholders, but also create value for the society. So, Mona, what you described really is at the heart of the central bank's strategic plan for 2022 to 2027. So I think we're going to have a deeper conversation on that. So it is therefore incumbent on the financial sector to build and extend affordable and user-friendly green financial solutions to the underserved and the small earners nationwide. Our work is clearly well cut out because the Financial Capability Survey 2020 showed that only 15% of the Ugandans save their money in a deposit-taking financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Now, of course, the other regulators here will need to hear more about those ratios that in the institutions that they regulate. While only 17% of their funds, save this money on their phones using the mobile money platform. Up to 44% of our people rely on village savings and loan associations, and 42% resort to saving boxes at home. So these are the guys we need to bring into the ecosystem. We urge every stakeholder to build an inclusive, vibrant, and a safe green finance ecosystem that will crowd in all those saving money at home. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Bank of Uganda, partners, and stakeholders have planned several commemorative activities for the World Savings Day 2022. The activities include radio programs, a savings challenge running from November 2022 to November 2023, where everyone is encouraged to use formal financial savings products linked to specific goals. Dedication of November as an annual banking and financial services month, and public webinars on savings and financial literacy, among others. So I want to thank all our partners and stakeholders for joining hands to commemorate this year's edition of the World Savings Day. And we urge everyone to move their savings from pots, boxes, mattresses to regulated financial institutions for safety and accumulation through compound interest. When I was still a student, that time I was doing my master's degree, so we were tackling the topic on savings. So the professor started by making a quote from someone. This guy was called James Loftus, who said, quote, "The squirrel knows that winter is freezing cold, often with snow covering the ground. The squirrel knows that winter will arrive. So what does it do? It prepares for times when resources become scarce. If they have 2 nuts, they'll keep one aside." So he said, shouldn't we humans, who are a bit smarter than squirrels, understand that the winter of life events will likely arrive at some point and prepare as well? This is a question for you. Now, I also pray a lot. And my pastor one time quoted Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22. And I'm using the New International Version. It says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." So, on this World Savings Day, let us be smarter than a squirrel, to understand that winter days, such as the COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns, will come in life. Let us be good to save for our grandchildren, and let us be righteous by leaving a legacy of endowment for the future generations. So let's be smart and start saving today. Having said that, there are of course some risks that we need to guard against, particularly for those that are taking our savings. And as a central bank, we ensure that all those savings taking or deposit taking institutions, right, have in place sound, robust risk management frameworks in place to safeguard your deposits. And even when they lend them out, we ensure that their credit policies, to a large extent, minimize the crystallization of risks that are associated with lending. And even as we move into the technology world, and there are some issues that are associated with that technology, where some people might be saving their money, the aspects of cyber security enhancements have got to be strengthened, and the central bank, together with all the partners in the sector, are working towards ensuring that we have those robust cyber security enhancements, because the system can only be as strong as the weakest link. So that's what we are working on. So finally, let us remember that money only makes the world go around when deposited in a formal financial institution and some fintechs that take some of these savings. It can only mold when buried in a hole in the ground. So I urge all of you to visit a regulated financial institution and start saving today. On that note, I wish you all a fruitful World Savings Day 2022. I thank you for listening to me, and may the good Lord bless all of you.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Governor. Can we give him another round of applause? It's always very nice to sit in the room with wise people. At least now we have even quotes to take back home. The squirrel story is very, very touching. I hope all of us will remember it. Even one nut. So at this point, I'm sure there are very many questions in the room. I'm going to request you to please put up your hand, say your name and the media house you're coming from, and then ask your question. But it's not going to be left to only the media houses. At some point, if you think you have a burning question, I hope we are ready for the people in the audience to also ask a question. So let's start now, and we move forward. Questions? Yes, please. You need a microphone. Please indicate who you're asking the question as well.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to ask the questions. My name is Basura Bernard, and write for the South newspaper. So go two questions. One is generally, they are specific. Now, number one, to Potazio, Wilbrod, Deputy Governor, and then Rita. Could you give me a clear assessment of the impact of the COVID-19 lockdown stress and the post-lockdown stress that has come with high inflation on the key financial metrics of the sectors that you supervise? For instance, over the past 2 years, I mean, how are those factors eaten into capital risk ratios, equity risk ratios, and even reserve ratios for all those dockets, but in brief. And then to Madame Tusubira, you talked in brief about securing those small cash boxes down there that are sitting on idle wealth, because the money is there, but it's not being productively utilized. And it's not adding value to the economy as it is. But the question is, does your institution have the capacity to actually secure that money and people that oversee it on its own in partnership with the police? Because we've got a problem in this country. Holding hard cash is so risky. I mean, there's an incident that happened 2 weeks ago that I know about, where a manager in a tea company woke up and got 40 million to go pay the laborers in the fields, and in between the office and the fields, he was attacked by thugs and shot dead, together with the driver and the security guard, and the man was taken. So, I mean, that's how risky handling cash is in this country right now. So the agency should have the capacity to secure those boxes and the people that oversee or are assigned to protect those boxes across 136 districts in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Any others? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Monica Nabyonga. I work with Smart 24 TV. We are a business channel. You're talking of saving. Actually, my question goes to the Assistant Governor of Bank of Uganda. The first question. You talked of saving, and today is the World Savings Day, but referring to the status of our economy as a country, kindly enlighten us on the performance of Ugandans, on how Ugandans are adapting to saving. And then to Madame Mona from Agricultural Business Initiative. We know very well that agriculture is the backbone of our country. And right now, in the past, we've had a prolonged drought. And right now, farmers are struggling. And there is a report from Bank of Uganda that there is an increase in demand for agricultural loans. But we know very well that just of recent, the central bank has just increased the CBR rate. So isn't this affecting our farmers down there? How are you planning to cater for them so that they also live in this country as citizens and enjoy their rights? Thank you.
Thank you very much. One more. I think I see a hand up.
Thank you. My name is Eva Namugabi from Radio 1. Mine goes to Madame Tusubira about the informal sector, that she has told us that they are starting to regulate the people who are keeping their monies in the boxes and what have you. I wanted to know, so far, how successful has this story been? You've talked about asking them to go to the district to report that money after keeping them in the boxes. So far, have you had any success stories from there? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we will start right there. We'll start with that question.
Thank you so much for asking. And really, like I've said, this process is starting January 2023. And why we know that it's going to be successful is because we put a process of consultation, and this consultative process took us about 1 year before we could come up with the guidelines. So the people themselves have helped us to come up with these guidelines, and if there is proper compliance to what we have guided in the operational guidelines, then it should be possible that we can understand this informal sector and we can be successful. Everything starts by doing. Let's do what we are supposed to do. I just simply want to call on Ugandans to embrace what is in place, and then we see what happens. If it's not successful, I dare you, we will not move with it. But as of now, we are so persuaded to the fact that it will happen. And the other question was about the UMRA capacity. I don't think UMRA will look at the 146 districts using our eyes. We are going to use a system, as I've already mentioned, and the system requires registry at the district, and that information will reach us digitally. We also have a system at UMRA. And in a twinkling of an eye, we shall be updating you that these are the savings out there. And if we follow the self-help group operational guidelines, like I've said, we should be able to have this information. And we also have a complaints handling tool in place. For whoever has put their savings somewhere and they get lost, we'll have a process of looking for that money. We shall know who has taken that money, other than historically, where we will not tell how to follow up this money. So it's not simply monitoring. Maybe I can be misunderstood on that one. I am talking about us following that money for the sake of the saver. And that one we are already doing. We have managed the complaints handling tool for the past 2 to 3 years, and it has worked successfully. And even the regulators are reporting on it, saying they have also benefited from this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope that was a satisfactory answer, and I believe it was. The next one, I want to come to you, Mona. They were talking about the agriculturalists and how they are borrowing. I'm sure majority of them are borrowing from the VSA, the SACCOs and all that. There's a mention of CBR, but from where you stand in agriculture, how is that being affected?
Okay. I'll start with a general definition of inflation, being the rising prices of goods and services. We're an agrarian economy, and our economy is really largely based on agriculture. In comes climate change, where we're seeing the vagaries of weather affecting our agriculture sector. Floods, droughts has meant there's a scarcity of food, and we're all seeing the prices of food remaining elevated. The central bank has no option but to raise the CBR and use other monetary instruments at their disposal to ensure that our economy doesn't overheat and thereby manage inflation. Now, we are working with the financial services sector, as I mentioned, in coming up with products and also with the value chain actors to ensure that we are ensuring that the sector, the actors are adapting and being resilient to the changes in agriculture. Addressing the issues of floods, addressing the issues of drought. I'll just give examples. There's now the ability to buy seeds that sprout or mature early that will help resist or survive drought better. Whereas typical unmodified seed, for instance, would have sprouted, I'm giving back of the envelope numbers, would have sprouted in, say, 4 weeks. Improved seed will ensure that the seed sprouts and matures, say, in about 2 weeks. You shave off 2 weeks, and thereby you have an early maturing of the crop and you're harvesting. So when the drought or the dry season lasts longer than it used to, we are now harvesting quicker, and then we have food. Same thing with floods. The rains are coming down heavier, lasting longer, and the millimeters of rain that we're receiving are increasing. So improved seed will be that the seed does now not rot in the garden, but can resist or has a higher tolerance to floods and higher capacity to still sprout and bear fruit, even where floods persist. Then where there are floods, how are we harvesting that water and storing it for being like the squirrel, storing that water in terms of too much water, thereby floods, and ensuring that we continue to have agriculture that much more stable. So if we can come at it from the production end, the processing end, the value addition end, to ensure that our supply and our contribution to the goods and services, but mostly to the goods in the economy, is that much more stable, we will see inflation come down or be a lot more stable, and the cost of money, because the cost of money is pegged on the central bank rate, will be stable or not that much elevated. So it takes time, but it's a congruence of many actors and factors working together, but there's no straight bullet that we can say we're going to apply immediately. It's something that will take time to ensure that we get there. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that response. The next one to you, Deputy Governor, about savings and how Ugandans are adapting to the challenges.
Thank you very much for the question. Let me go back to the story of the squirrel. You know, squirrels also face very hard times in life, but they have never gotten extinguished. Why? They know that there are rainy days, so they try as much as possible to save, notwithstanding the hard conditions that they live in. And was smarter than what? Squirrels. So, even in very, very challenging times such as we are now, I think we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what can I cut from my expenditure? What can I prioritize? All right? I mean, I'll tell you one thing. The other day, His Excellency the President said that if the cost of some import items have gone up, and that's some that are locally produced, why don't you substitute those, particularly if the price is favorable? That difference, you can save it. Okay? So I think, you see, the government has a role to play in this. How can the government trigger quick supply of food crops, particularly as we have the rains? The commercial banks and other supervised institutions have a role to play. How can we extend credit to agriculture? ABI has a role to play. How can we ensure that those fast maturing crops and water is harvested for the drier season? How can we take advantage of that? And most importantly, we the people also have our role to play. We have to form a united front against this challenge that we're facing. We cannot leave it to only some players. We need all of us to work together. I'll tell you, if you decompose inflation, the latest numbers of inflation we have right now, September was 10.1%. I know that the October inflation numbers are coming out today. But if you look at the September inflation numbers, the headline inflation was 10.1. But if you look at the various subgroups in that inflation, food crop inflation was 21.6%. It was the highest. So you look at energy, fuel, and other utilities, it's about 18, and then you have other goods and services about 17, right? But food crop inflation was the highest. So the question that I'm posing now is, how can we take advantage of the high food crop prices with the existing rainfall that we've had for the last 2.5 months? How are we taking advantage of these rains, right, to increase the food supply and tap into this 21.6% inflation and earn more income from the food crops? And who are the producers of this? These are the people in the rural areas. Now, of course, there are challenges in terms of the seeds, in terms of the markets and everything, but at least let's try to see how we can take advantage of the existing environment now, the rains, and produce more food and take advantage of the high food crop inflation. Now, of course, that will come down immediately, all right? But at least you'll have tapped into it, and then we will fight together to bring inflation down so that we begin lowering the CBR once the inflation comes down. So all I'm trying to say is the fight against inflation is a fight for all the stakeholders. And I must commend the people of Uganda, both the government and the people of Uganda, for the steps that they have taken in their fight against inflation. The government has not succumbed to the demands of the people that they should bring in subsidies, tax cuts. You all know what happened in UK when they tried to do this. Okay, let's not get there. So government has been very, very focused that subsidies are distortionary. All right, tax cuts do not work in this environment. So let's take the course. And I also want to thank the people of Uganda for that they have tightened their belts and have tried to reprioritize the expenditures. So how can we continue with that while triggering increased output, taking advantage of the available rains, all right, and increasing production? So the long run aspect of the sustainability of fighting inflation is increasing production. What we are doing right now as a central bank is firefighting for the short term. How do we bring inflation in the short term? But if the factors that keep driving up inflation remain with us, for example, climate change, if we don't address it, we are going to continue having these episodes of high inflation. So to bring down inflation sustainably, we have to do what Mona is talking about. How do we bring in water harvesting? How do we bring in irrigation? How do we bring in fast maturing seeds? And how does everybody work? How do we bring in value addition so that we reduce import substitution and earn more forex through more value added exports and increase the availability of foreign exchange in the market and minimize exchange rate volatility? And there we are able to safeguard ourselves against externally induced inflation, against externally induced value, the supply chain disruptions. So to bring down inflation sustainably, we need to work together as Ugandans, form a united front, and fight inflation. So I won't leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Deputy Governor. I think that has been very comprehensive and speaking right into the theme, Green Smart. You mentioned something, and I know I've heard of friends very recently who are harvesting rain in Kampala as they build. They are already thinking about that. I know there are issues to do with backyard gardening. Somebody asked, what do we do with the increasing cost? Right now, you've talked about the food. So I think it's something for everybody. Like we said, anyone can. And what you have mentioned is that it is our role. It's not the government's role. It's every individual's role. Thank you so much for that, Deputy Governor. The next question was about capacity to secure money in ports, but I think you sort of mentioned it. You wrapped up everything in one. The last question from Mr. Busura is about assessing the impact of COVID-19 regarding the different ratios in the areas that you regulate. I would like to come. Anybody would like to come first? Yes? Okay. Retirement.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Busura, for that question. You asked about the impact of COVID on the entities that we regulate as UBRA. For sure, COVID impacted all of us because we saw people losing jobs. If someone cannot afford salary, then there is no way they can afford remitting contributions to a scheme. So what we saw as a regulator, a number of employers were requesting for contribution holidays because they were saying we can hardly keep these people employed. Instead of sending them home, we'd request that you give us a contribution holiday so we can afford their salaries. As and when the times improve, then we can bring them back and then resume contributions. So at such a scenario, we worked with a number of schemes and advised to give contribution holidays, but with a remedial plan, so that when times get better, we know how these employers will continue or will resume making these contributions. And as the situation gets better, we've seen a lot of improvements. Many of them have now resumed contributing. Even those that took a holiday and didn't remit at all have got remedial plans to remit to make good the areas that were not paid. And secondly, we've also seen there was a lot of agitation for midterm access. This only emphasized the need for saving more and more and more. And it resonates with the topic or the theme of the day. COVID showed us that we need to save for a rainy day. Because that is when people thought about the retirement savings, that they're even just compelled to save. Because if it wasn't compulsion, probably many of us would not have the savings in NSSF or the occupational schemes. But the time of COVID reminded people that, okay, I have this money in NSSF, why don't I touch it? But at that time, the law couldn't even allow you. So that is where people who had their savings or people who had planned were better off. So what we learned from this is we need to save more and more. And even with the midterm access, we know government has allowed it, but we always advise go for it if you really have to. Because as statistics will show us, people have gotten this money and we don't know how they've used it, but we are carrying out surveys to see. But the bottom line is we all need to save over and above what we are being compelled to save. Let us save more. So as UBRA, we have licensed voluntary schemes or individual plans where we advise people over and above what your employer is remitting for you in NSSF. Please take time, take out of what you've remained with, have an additional saving so that in that rainy day, at that time of difficulty, you have something to fall back to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rita. I think you've actually reminded us that, again, the capability survey indicated that the people in the rural areas are more resilient than those of us who are earning a salary because we expect the money all the time. And now you're telling us to, again, back to the squirrel, I think, the squirrel story. Thank you very much for that. Any other person?
I could add from the insurance sector's point of view Yes, like Rita mentioned, indeed, COVID was everybody's problem. But, you know, the business of insurance is risk management. If you have looked at our reports, I think one of the sectors that remained very resilient from the figures was insurance. I remember one time my CEO mentioned that I think if we had to look at the good things from COVID, the insurance sector would be happy, because it appears to have taught people that anything is possible anytime. So we've seen a lot of risk consciousness growing, and no wonder when we look at our statistics, the individuals paying off premiums from their salaries, the number is going up, and you had intimated from the financial capability survey, indeed, we see the numbers of individual policies going up. This is not to mean that the sector was not shaken, because overall, in as much as we remained on a 2-digit growth, the rates declined a bit due to some individuals' policies, especially those ones who lost jobs, failing to remit their premiums. So there was some bit of shake-up. But overall, the risk consciousness culture is improving in this country, and this directly also speaks to the rate at which people are looking at savings for long-term obligations.
Thank you very much. You've reminded me how we were very excited about this year, 2022. We were sure was going to be a great year, having survived 2020 and then surviving 2021, and we were looking in the area of health, and then something like Ukraine and Russia comes up. Who ever expected that? I always said that we always learnt about these macroeconomic issues as a something that you had to remember, but here we are. So I think it's true, we are increasingly, and I worry that are these just warning signs of something bigger? So I think it's indeed something we need to work on. Did you have something to say, Deputy Governor? Okay, thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of, you have only two, then we can move on. Yes, please. Looks like it's one.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ali Twaha, and I work with New Vision. Just one question and maybe a feedback. First, I want to thank the Deputy Governor for approving all those fintechs that have given us an alternative to save our money elsewhere apart from the banks. With inflation at 10% and banks are giving you 3% on savings, I think the fintechs are giving us, some of them are giving us a better platforms to save our money. Thank you. The other is feedback on some of the investment schemes that we have. I think the ones on insurance. Through some of these ads, you'll be told that you'll get a 10% return on whatever you're investing. But they've made me believe maybe I don't know how to calculate interest. They'll tell you daily this interest. Some of these investment schemes regulated by the CMA. I don't know if it's something you're following, but the rate, some of the rates they tell you'll earn, if you do your own calculation, you'll find out that it's about 7% that you've earned, and not exactly 10% as some of them promise. Just feedback. You may not respond because it's out of your mandate. The other is I wanted Mr. Owo and maybe the Deputy Governor to sort of, we have this issue of high interest rates in this market. But I've been reading other countries that have a high saving rate tend to have a low interest rate regime. And I wanted Mr. Owo to I know every year they have to remind us, tell us why we need to save more? Can it really play a big role into lowering the lending rates that we have in the market? Thank you.
I think we'll go with that. Thank you very much for that question. Again, your question, especially the first question about interest rate, 3% and what, speaks to the need to educate people, because I think all banks have varying products. Some of the products we refer to are the ones we use for our daily, the account that you use every day. But I think we would like to request that, again, through this month, we shall be making people aware, because banks have several products ranging from whatever you want for a fixed deposit onwards. But I would like to let Mr. War respond, probably to everything that's being referred to.
Thank you very much. Perhaps just before I respond to the specific question, let me throw some light on the impact of COVID as well on the financial sector. Obviously, this was one of the unexpected shocks to the sector, and the same way once it impacted the economy, by extension, the financial sector is just an extension of the economy. But specifically, obviously, the fact that there were lockdowns, supply chain disruptions, and reduced cash flows, loan exposures suffered repayment challenges. Even when we did restructures, and at the peak of it, we had restructured 7.9 trillion when we did the first restructures. The challenge has continued because, as you know, the opening took a while, and even when it opened, our business didn't come back immediately. So we sit with arrears, loan arrears, and as you know, in accounting, as you provision for these can impact, they erode capital and can impact the financial standing. Luckily, the financial institutions have been resilient, again thanks to prudent supervision, and they continue to stand strong. But the central bank has taken a position as well to consider minimum paid up capital revisions, but also what we call the ICAP, that is in the internal capital adequacy process reviews, just so that banks are stronger and can absorb these shocks as and when they occur, but also to prepare the institutions for the economic opportunities in the region so that they have larger balance sheets to undertake bigger transactions to support the economy, including oil and gas. There was a good side, though, to COVID. We saw uptake of digital channels, especially during the lockdown. We saw that many people shifted to digital channels, and that was good. When they tested those services, they have remained there and continue to use those services. And I think that's a good thing, and we'll continue to encourage that, and also work on the risks that I had mentioned. The second question was the linkage between savings and how it impacts the lending rate. Every form of lending, particularly for the commercial banking sector, is coming largely from deposits mobilized. And therefore, the more savings collected, mobilized across, the bigger the pool. When the pool is bigger, the chances that its cost, and by extension the cost at which money is lent, is likely to fall cheaper. When it is harder to mobilize, when you have to look for those deposits, not from depositors, but to borrow that money from somewhere else and on-lend it, the cost of lending is obviously higher. So the more we mobilize deposits, the more we have a bigger pool from which to draw funding for lending. So it's very straightforward that the more savings you have, the larger the pool, and by extension the cost at which you lend would be obviously more cheaper than when you have rely on borrowed funds. And therefore, mobilizing deposits, a savings day like this one, celebration and commemoration of World Savings Day, is just to reinforce that message and to find ways and means to mobilize more for either those sectors we never used to reach, or even for those we reach more and more of those percentages, so that we have a bigger pool from which to lend. Lastly, I know our colleague, the CMA chief, isn't here, but the various schemes, and they are regulated. When you place your savings or investment with any of those schemes, or you subscribe to their services, they have terms, conditions for their various offers. Take time to read the rates and the terms with which they offer those rates and manner in which they compute them. Sometimes they are daily, monthly, annually, semi-annually, or depending on the term. But there are also costs that they come with, including sometimes tax aspects. And all these are taken into account until the net revenue that you get. So I think the beauty is that they are all regulated, and transparency is a requirement in there, and disclosure. And therefore, I'm surprised that they have failed to give you answers. You are entitled to them, to those answers. But very clearly, they would typically demonstrate how they calculate and arrive at those rates. Thank you.
Excuse me. I just wanted to add something very small, quickly, as we close. On the side of insurance, I wanted to clarify that the products that we give do not necessarily come with interest. For example, the life side, what we give are just bonuses, and these bonuses will come at the end of a period, which period will have to be subjected to what we call an actuarial valuation, and that will determine now how the bonuses will be distributed. So I wouldn't want to go into details of CMA like my brother mentioned, because they are not here, because I know on the side of CMA there are also products which are offered by companies that are related to insurers. But very quickly, if you may allow me, Goretti, to mention one key thing, one or two, is that I feel like we on this side, who are the stakeholders, the key players within the financial services sector, have a very big role to play when it comes to savings and promoting savings. And we have got to find a way of forming very strong linkages. Sitting here and listening to my brother from Deposit Protection Fund, I noticed that in a way they will guarantee up to about 10 million, for example. But I'm lucky. I've not had more than 10 million as my balance. But I'm imagining if you have at any one time more than 10 million, can the Deposit Protection Fund, for example, work closely with the insurance industry so that we can offer you capacity, so that at the end of the day, if someone has more than a balance of maybe 10 million, they have a guarantee that seated on top of, and I had to use the word insurance, seated on top of your product, we can offer you extra capacity through the insurance. You pay a small premium, but at the end of the day, the depositors are protected to 100% or even unlimited. I think for me that gives confidence in terms of my savings that I have and the guarantee that should anything happen, I'm protected beyond that 10 million. The other thing I wanted to also emphasize is that insurance is very, very key, because you cannot save what you've not earned. And insurance is one important aspect that would help to protect earnings. Because first of all, we must protect what we are making to be able then to save. Otherwise, you cannot save what you've not earned. So through insurance, we try as much as possible to offer products that will protect your income. So as you go on the journey to save, you must ensure that you have an insurance product that is protecting that income. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you may not be able to reach your goal or your objective. And through this issue of linkages, and I must emphasize, I think Mona mentioned the aspect of agriculture and the challenges around drought and floods. And again, this speaks to the majority of the population. We have worked very closely with ABI, very closely with the Ministry of Finance and Government, and very closely with Bank of Uganda, again, to ensure that we offer products through agriculture insurance that can protect the majority of Ugandans so that they can earn income and be able to save. So I felt that those were points I needed to emphasize as we close, in view of the linkages, but also in view of the confidence that we give the public through the products that we offer as sector players. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've left us with food for thought, I would say. I'm sure DPF may not respond now, or would they? Please, he seems to be ready to. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, my brother. We as DPF, yes, we are saying the protected amount is 10 million Uganda shillings. That is the initial payment that we can give out. If you are unlucky and you have more than 10 million Uganda shillings, then we would go into the other process of liquidation, where we would now sell the assets, and then we continue to pay those ones who have the limit of 10 million. That's what we.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that has been captured by the media, because for many people, that's what it has always meant. 10 million and that's it. And I'm sure whatever other conversation needs to happen will continue to happen. Just to also correct that, when you have above 10 million, you are not unlucky. you're actually very lucky. But you see, so that's what could have actually been going on in people's mind.
However, I want also to add that, you know, we deal with Deposit Protection Fund is mainly concerned with the unsophisticated depositors, people who, the vulnerables, people who actually don't have access to, like, reading newspapers, who don't have the knowledge about balance sheet, about, those are the people that we actually have the biggest interest. Now, for someone who is an elite, you should be able to have information about these banks, should be able to know, or even to go and find out how are they faring, how are they performing, so that you should be able to manage your deposits there. Either you move to another institution if they are not doing well. So you need also to appreciate the fact that there are those ones who are below. Actually, most of the depositors that we do protect are below the 10 million Uganda shillings. Yeah, so that's also another food for thought.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. Luckily, like you heard, Mr. Wall talk about the ICAP process, the whole governance structure. The Bank of Uganda is here. Luckily, I think we are more confident now. Extremely confident, I would say. But indeed, we are protected and we are happy that we can still go through the liquidation process either way. So thank you so much. I want to hand over, because this is the time, first of all, to thank you very much, the media and everybody, for waiting until now for those questions and answers. My dear panel, thank you so much for answering ably and leaving us with thoughts, quotes, and things to think about as we go home and to actually act on. I now want to hand over back to the MC. I think we are going into the launch process, and then we can call it a day. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Goretti.
Please clap for the panel.
And please clap for Goretti. Please clap for Goretti. Thank you, Goretti, and thank you, our dear CEOs, for a wonderful morning of information. We are running out of time, and I don't want to keep anyone here anymore. Allow me to let you know that we are going to launch our Financial Services Awareness Month, as well as our Savings Challenge. And I'm going to request my team to kindly prepare the going to do. Yes, we can go back. It's okay. take their downer seats away from the high table, I would like to let you know that we have some good literature that was provided to us by UMRA. So kindly go through those booklets. There is some interesting information that I've been going through here, and I think it is good enough. My dear, acquaint yourselves with those. We may not be so much accustomed to that. Our circles, we should know the guidelines that guide our circles, operations, and how we lend or not lend when it comes to circle business. Okay, now that we are ready, this is what we are going to do. We are going to have our chief guest, our deputy governor, lead the way. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to script his signature on that banner with the beautiful logos. Anyone can start small, grow big, be green smart. And thereafter, he will launch our the savings challenge. This is our savings box. I don't know whether there is something to follow there. He knows better. He's the deputy governor, so I will not give him instructions on what to do with that box. And then thereafter, we shall hand over our chikapu to the chief guest and any other CEO who signs my savings box challenge. I can see Wilbrod is adjusting the jacket, so. Start now. Okay. The full stop is there. You clap when you hear ta. That just know the thing has been launched. Thank you. Ta. Thank you very much. Okay. Madam Edith, thank you very much for coming and being with us. Mr. Balam, that was wonderful of you. Thank you very much. I will need your signature as well, Mr. Balam. Jenan, thank you. I haven't seen the, Thank you so much, Paul. Mercantile Credit Bank, thank you very much. Ta, that is the full stop. Okay. Full stop. Someone remaining? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the wonderful deliberations. Okay, now that Let me come this side. Now that we are done with that, since we said the thing is about Chikapu, I'm going to request Madam Goretti to hand over this Chikapu to the Deputy Governor and Chief Guest, but I've been told there should be interpretation of these English things. Eh? Okay, let me hand over the microphone.
Lapolon, Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, Pejonon Kosilango Sivib, Yalamaso Ajaun Kajo Nelolo, Papa Ejara ko Akirot, Ayuariti Subanlu Edeke, Eyata Kito Saimono, Saya Utonge Ria Golo Mamakoni Jayo Lapolo Nebe. Aosikisi, Aitosom Akabera, Ageas Aitosom Eriago, Ilosagwe Liboro, Ilososokoni, Tosome Iriago, Nara Idumnoni Yuariti Nyo, Isuban Lukedeke, Eyalama Papa.
Thank you very much. Deputy Governor will interpret at the press conference after. But Deputy Governor, you can, there is inside there is a piggy bank. You can show us. You can show us what is there. Okay. And there are some saving challenge tips written on. So we also have Bikapus for all our other CEOs present. And I will request that Madam Goretti, you may carry on the honors and you let them have these Bikapu.
But I have been, at least I have been represented, very well represented. Imagine I'm speaking Runyankore right now.
So all the languages have been covered up. We haven't left out anyone. So thank you very much. Yes, we do have more here. And after we have received our couple, we are taking the message home and to spread it to the population that we serve and regulate and we guide. We shall have a group photo. It is also an issue of colors, so the women love their colors. Yes, Make sure you have the right color. Okay? Yes. And everybody is going to take a chikapu. So we have everyone has a chikapu because we want to start small, grow big, and be green smart. Paul, Mr. Paul wants green.
Please. Move with your chikapu in the car. Please. Leave one car at home. Okay? And please, let's plant some dodo at home and so many other things. I think there's so many ways, there are going to be so many tips. And I'm hoping that you're going to join the week when we call upon you, the month, in the week where you fall and beyond. We also need resources to make sure this runs throughout the year. Thank you so much. And now I want to do let's do the photo, please. Thank you.
With the chikapu. The chikapu is part of our brand. Where is the chikapu for Goretti? Otherwise, I want to thank you for gracing the occasion. We shall meet up at Hilton Hotel in Nakuru for the run as well. Our dear Deputy Governor, I want to thank you for gracing the occasion and being with us till the end. So our dear Fourth Estate, kindly get in touch with the staff of the CEO such that we can get the branding, the real names, the titles correctly. For example, we do not have the CEO of Bankers Association, we have the ED. So those things matter a lot, otherwise someone will chase me from the job. So thank you very much for being here. We shall depart at leisure. We can now interact, network, get the rightful interviews from the respective persons. And I want to wish you a happy savings challenge. Let us start small, let us grow big, and then let us sound and be green smart. Thank you very much for being with us, and wish you a lovely month. Thank you.